Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where we say, no, China man, no! Get your hands off of our artificial intelligence. So this is just another story in the idiocy of our policies here in the United States in regards to China and artificial intelligence and how that is affecting the rest of the world. So one of the big problems is, one, the whole export controls of China over AI are just stupid. They're just stupid. The Biden administration literally wanted to do export controls on models, right? No matter how dumb it is for the GPUs or the hardware, right? I guess theoretically you can try to do it. It's probably not going to work out well, but you can try to restrict hardware from getting to China. Biden literally wanted to restrict the ability to move files on the internet. Right. Anyways, that is the level of technical understanding we have out of our government officials. So one of the big problems we're running into now, right, is that okay, we're not supposed to sell any of this this AI hardware to China, and so therefore, what's happening is people in other countries, in Argentina or Saudi Arabia or whatever, buy our AI hardware, and then China buys that AI hardware from them. They essentially become the middleman, and then that's become a problem. And since some of that is happening, then we've started putting export controls onto these other countries that are not China, but simply because this AI trade routes through them, they now have restrictions. The issue is, again, as we crank down on that, there then becomes the question of, hey, does China actually need to own some of this hardware? If you're doing things like training or whatever else, do you really need to own the hardware, especially now with how you're doing things? Maybe you can just simply buy one of our services. Like I don't have to own a GPU. China man doesn't have to own a GPU to access the resources of American GPUs if they use an American AI service, right? So we're getting more and more of this cracking down on the wrong people using artificial intelligence. And the interesting thing is to see how many of our companies are getting on this bandwagon. It's weird. Like I remember like 8 years ago when companies tried to not become political because they knew becoming political was probably stupid. And becoming political in a globalized environment was definitely stupid. They just wanted to sell product. The issue that we're having right now, though, is a lot of our companies want to kiss Trump's ass for some reason, right? The whole thing with Trump is slobbering over that fucking ring. Get on your fucking knees, kowtow up to that fat, senile piece of crap, and slobber over his ring to prove right, your fealty to him. Not your fucking fealty to this country. Not your fucking fealty to the Constitution. Not your fucking fealty to human fucking rights. No, your fealty to him. Because that apparently is what America is all about now. But what is becoming interesting is how this is getting weird and how I think it's going to just destroy so much of our tech industry in the global perspective, right? I've talked about that before. If you're a CIO, CTO, and you're looking at mitigating risk, can you risk putting American artificial intelligence into your infrastructure, even if it could 10x the performance of your infrastructure? Is it worth the risk? At some time that might get pulled away, or you will not be able to scale the way that you're expecting. As I talked about before, sometimes it's better to use subpar products that there's a metric crap ton of out there on the open market that you can buy at any point in time and is highly supported. Sometimes it's better to go with worse resources that you can get your hands on versus better resources that who the hell knows what's going to happen, right? And I get really, really worried about this. And this is where with Anthropic coming in. So Anthropic slobbering, oh my God. Trump's hand must be fucking just dripping with the drool of the Anthropic right? Updating restrictions of sales to unsupported regions, right? So Anthropic is software as a service, infrastructure as a service, that type of thing. And since it can be used by people all around the world, they now want to restrict, they want to crack down on the usage by people that they may not like. Not people that are necessarily creating chemical weapons, not people that are necessarily hacking, right? Just people they don't like. Anthropic's terms of service, and this is from Anthropic itself, prohibit use of our services in certain regions due to legal, regulatory, and security risks. However, companies from these restricted regions, including adversarial nations like China, think about this. This is Anthropic as a company declaring China an adversarial nation. As I've said many fucking times, I don't have that many fucking problems with China. If Chinese people have problems with their government, God bless, deal with it. Me as an American, this is sending me up the wall. The Pacific Pivot and everything that goes along with Pacific Pivot sends me up the fucking wall. China and the Chinese are not my fucking adversaries. They're the government's adversaries, and that's so they can keep putting money into Lockheed Martin or whatever else. But notice this. Notice one of our companies literally declaring China an adversarial nation. This is not Trump. This is not a senator. This is not fucking Lutnick talking about strong beef and weak beef. This is literally one of our companies saying that China is the adversary. This is not a good fucking route to go down. Remember when every company went fucking woke for whatever reason, and no matter what you did, it was all Black Lives Matter and pastel colors and all of that kind of stuff. And then in the blink of the eye, amazingly, that shit all got shut down, right? Don't get into this world of your company declaring China or anybody else an adversarial nation. We follow the rules of the country that we are incorporated in. Fucking leave it at that. You want to be fucking tech bros. Anyways, including adversarial nations like China, continuing accessing our service in various ways, such as through subsidiaries incorporated in other countries. Companies subject to control from authoritarian regions like China face legal requirements that can compel them to share data, cooperate with intelligence services, or take other actions that create national security risks. Really? Yeah, it's horrible that countries like China, don't protect data and that type of thing. It's almost tiring to go into. Hey, remember when NSA intercepted Cisco equipment en route to end users and added hardware? Hey, you know how they're adding tracking mechanisms now to GPU equipment? Hey, you know how our government spies on damn near everything? But anyways, China is the real danger. Again, warrants. I mean, they've talked about this before in Europe, right? One of the reasons that Europe wants to decouple from the United States from big tech is because of the warrants, right? In the US, if a judge issues a warrant, they can get access to all kinds of data, right? There are other countries, again, democratic countries, Europe and Canada, where they don't like that. The fact that our government can get their hands on information at any point in time, they're not comfortable with. We see this with the New York Times, right? The New York Times is suing OpenAI over use of their material. And at this point, it's like all requests and responses now have to be logged by OpenAI, and through a discovery process, New York Times can see all of that information. And that's going on with our legal system. We talked about it. Martin Lehner, he runs an MSP up in Canada, and he talked about one of the reasons he doesn't use Azure. Because even if you use an Azure data center in Canada, its backup procedures to verify everything stays up and running, you don't know where your data gets replicated to, right? And that's why this kind of national security risk compel them to share data. Yeah, it's what we fucking do all the time. Anyways, these requirements make it difficult for companies to resist these pressures regardless of where they operate or of their personal preferences of the individuals at those companies. And again, remember the canary things on U.S. companies' websites. Basically, that for national security, when a warrant goes in to a lot of these cloud vendors, that they're not even allowed to discuss that they're divulging information to the government, right? That's literally what we're doing. But anyways, China man's bad. When these entities access our services through subsidies, they could use our capabilities to develop applications and services that ultimately serve adversarial military and intelligence services and broader authoritarian objectives. They could also potentially use our models to advance their own AI development through techniques like distillation and to compete globally with trusted technology companies headquartered in the United States and allied countries. With trusted companies headquartered in the United States, right? Anthropic is coming out and saying China is the adversary and American companies are trusted. Fuck. To account for this reality and better align with our commitment to ensuring the transformative AI capabilities advance democratic interests, we are strengthening our regional restrictions. This update prohibits companies or organizations whose ownership structures subject them to control from jurisdictions where our products are not permitted, like China, regardless of where they operate. This includes entities that are more than 50% owned, directly or indirectly, that's interesting, by companies headquartered in unsupported regions. This change ensures our terms of service reflect real-world risks and are true to the spirit of our policies. Consistent with this concern, we continue to advocate for policies like strong export controls to prevent authoritarian nations from developing frontier AI capabilities that could threaten national security. So think about this. Again, Anthropic is coming out. Advocate for policies like strong export controls. Anthropic is pushing for strong export controls that could, theoretically, somehow threaten national security. The safety and security of AI development requires collective commitment to preventing its misuse by authoritarian adversaries. Responsible AI companies can and should take decisive action to ensure that transformative technologies serve U.S. and allied strategic interests and support our democratic values. So basically what Anthropic is coming out and saying is China man bad, and any good AI company, again, should serve U.S. and allied strategic interests. Is our strategic interest murdering the fuck out of Gazan babies? Right? That's what we're doing right now. We are fucking funding the ethnic cleansing of the Gazans. So Anthropic is stating that's good. If you are an AI company, and your products can be used to ethnically cleanse a people that because their enemy is supposedly an ally of us, that is good. That is part of our interest. But if China gets a hold of these services, that's god awful. I don't know. This is curious. I think it's bad. I think this whole fucking thing is bad. This messaging right here, this messaging is about placating a senile, old, psychotic fucking loser that's currently in the White House and doesn't do a lot of good for the United States. Again, dear Anthropic, do you serve the fucking United States or do you serve a senile, old loser? Right? That's the reality here. Because when you have this come out, when you have Anthropic literally say that China is the adversary, then what can China do? Right? You know, because that's the thing. Like if China's like trying to figure things out, well, maybe a new administration comes in, maybe this or that or the other thing, right? They can still work with companies or whatever else. When you literally state that is the adversary. That is what your company is stating. How do you walk that back? When you pretend that our strategic interest, the American strategic interests, are somehow intrinsically moral or ethical, right? That makes anybody in the AI space have to question what the fuck they're doing with Anthropic, right? If you're in France, if you're in Belgium, if you're in Argentina, and you're told Anthropic's stance is that the US way is good, right? Bulldozing Gazan babies is moral and should be supported by AI companies. Right, what is that the path these other folks are going to want to go down? I don't know. This is the crap show that we're in. This is the jingoistic crap show That is currently occurring. And I do not understand why these technology companies are slobbering on Trump's ring just so hard. And it's going to bite him in the ass, right? When all these companies went woke, when all these companies went hyper BLM, right, it bit them in the fucking ass. When all these companies, right, basically try to rip away the consent of women because 0.5% of men would cry if you didn't call them the way they want to be called, right? That did not work out well at the end of the day. Going hyper political for these corporations is not a good way to go. We follow the laws of the land. We prevent our systems from being used in hacking attacks. We prevent our systems from being used for X, Y, or Z, right? Whether you're an American militia person or whether you're a Chinese government official, our systems are not going to teach you how to create a better chemical weapon, right? It should be a rules-based system. But anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about Anthropic coming out point fucking blank saying Chinaman is the enemy? What do you think about them coming out and point blank saying that what the United States does is inherently good and that other AI companies should basically follow lockstep with American policy? I don't know. What do you think about this idiocy? Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a moron. Just do it in the comments section. Come on now. Be the alpha Chad you've always known you can be. And say it down in the comment section. Because that's how alpha Chads are. Oh, alpha Chads, they're not out, exercising and running and getting a tan and rolling around in grass. No. They're screaming in comment sections. Anyways, do remember silicondojo.com exists. We are going to be having another fireside chat with the founder of a $2 billion cybersecurity company. He's going to be coming up in the beginning of October. We are also going to start doing in-person classes again hopefully in Durham, North Carolina, and here in Asheville, North Carolina. Those are coming along at some point in time. They are coming. So sign up for silicondojo.com if you're interested in that. And that's all I got. See you later.